Hey there, first movers. We are coming to you with a very, very special series today. We've been working with Dina Sportswear on a campaign called Suited for Legacy, where we're interviewing the OGs, the original Matildas, learning all about their stories and how they made visibility become possibility.
Today's conversation is with the one and only, the amazing Eesh Ferguson.
Whoop, whoop.
What I love about this conversation is it's no holds barred. Eesh is both kindness warrior and gritty storyteller, and I just love the energy she brings to the world. I laughed
100.
and she made me think, like really think.
She does make you think, doesn't she? And you know what I love about her the most? She absolutely tells it like it is. No holds barred, truth on truth. She shares exactly what it was like back in the day as a Matilda and what it means now as well to be a current day one.
Absolutely. First movers, buckle up. This is a good one.
Well, Ish, amazing to have you with us today. We're really excited to talk to you about the blazers that Dina have designed for all of you as part of the Matilda alumni and this Suited for Legacy initiative. But we want to start this conversation by going back in time a little bit, back in the time machine, to you, Ish Ferguson, as a little kid.
I was covered in dirt. I was outside. I'm the youngest of 5 kids. So that probably tells you all you need to know. Like, there was a lot of having to fight for your place within the hierarchy, fight for attention. Yeah, I was the one that kind of got pushed around, kicked around, and I was the little one. I was the easy target. But really super close siblings. Like, we're all so close. And I'm grateful for being at that point in the hierarchy, because as I got older, they were the ones that were protecting me as well, and kind of showing me the way and guiding me through life. So yeah, I'm pretty grateful for where I ended up.
I love that. I love being a dirty, disgusting kid. It's so funny when we do these interviews. There's there's a golden thread of similar childhoods where people, they have to sort of get up, fight for themselves, show those elements of resilience. And, we don't need to tell you at the impact of having those experiences as a kid, what it can turn into as an elite athlete, and even after sport into the work that many female athletes do. But again, back into your childhood, going through that sort of dirty phase, that rough and tumble phase, where was it? What part of the timeline was it where you fell in love with football?
I'm really lucky. My family, my dad's Scottish, so it was born into us. My dad is from just outside Glasgow, a place called Ayr. So there is it's football mad, right? The UK is football mad. So half my family are Celtic fans, half my family are Rangers fans. So my nana, who was a Protestant, converted to Catholicism and became a Catholic.
Mm.
So there's a real divide in the family, which continues going on up until this day. We watch the Old Firm derbies, World Cups, but yeah, football was kind of our sport. It always was. And we always had a really strong affiliation with our Scottish roots as well.
Yeah.
My mum's family had some Irish roots in them, but my dad being born in Scotland was where the love of football really came from. And my brother that's closest to me, he's actually twins. So there's Jacqueline and Scott who are closest to me. I was like his little brother, basically. So he's a Rangers fan. I'm a Celtic fan, hence why I used to get the lumps kicked out of me in the backyard. So I still say to this day, I don't think I'd actually be able to beat him. Like, he's a huge unit. He's about 6'2" and massive. But yeah, that love for football came from our Scottish heritage.
I really love that. Sounds like it connected you as a family. Is that what football gave you that nothing else did? Like, is that
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think, yeah, it was definitely like World Cups, staying up in the middle of the night, watching them, spending all weekend at football carnivals. I started playing when we lived in Cairns for a few years. So I was born in Brisbane. We moved up to Cairns for my dad's work, and up there, because everything's so remote, what happens on the weekends happens a football carnival, and all the families pack up all their kids and go somewhere. They go to Tully, they go to Innisfail, they go like anywhere in between to play these carnivals over the weekend. And my brother was playing, my sister wasn't too interested, and I was just kind of kicking a ball on the sideline, just absorbing the football culture and also this family experience of us kind of picking up and traveling around. My 2 older brothers were a little bit older than me, so they kind of weren't in that, the kids traveling around everywhere, but it was a real family affair every single weekend, which I loved.
beautiful? Cass?
That's amazing. I wanted to ask you a little bit more about that family dynamic. As you were growing up, it feels like you had that inbuilt team, first with family, then with, traveling around to all of the different things. What did team mean to you? And especially as you went through your career, how did that shift or grow?
I think team for me, I could never have been an individual athlete. Like, I love the team environment. I love the support mechanism of, if I'm having a bad day, someone is there to help me. If someone else is having a bad day, I'm there to help them. That real sense of community. It's why I'm back in football now. I'm in coaching because it's just my happy place. It's like, it's my happy place. It's my safe space. No matter what's been happening in my life from when I was really young up until now, step over the white line. I don't get like the rage, the competitive rage that maybe used to come when I competed. Now it's just trying to, I don't know, share the passion, the excitement. I kind of always do this little bouncy, like I'm a little bouncy cocker spaniel, like chasing a ball or something. That energy that the power of the team, especially in the football context, gives me still resonates today.
I love that. When you look back, can you tell us one story from your Matildas era that still makes you laugh out loud?
So I made my debut in 97. So I was a 15-year-old kid. I was given a chance to go on tour for 6 weeks to Europe with the Matildas. It was ridiculous. I was just like, how have I got here? This is so awesome. Made my debut in Hungary. I came on as a substitute, then got an opportunity to start the game against Estonia. Now, Estonia, not known as one of the powerhouses of women's football, I was like, yeah, this is great. I was a striker at the time. I'm going to score against them. This is going to be awesome. Made my debut against Hungary, going to score. What a great tour. Happy days. First and foremost, I was number 26. So I was right at the end of the line because at that stage, when you made your debut, just the numbers kept going up. So I was up to 26, right? I was facing the wrong way for the national anthem. For a start, which no one told me. And then just had an absolute stinker. I had probably about 4 one-on-ones with the goalkeeper. We were playing in the middle of an athletics track. It was really sandy, but I literally could not hit the side of a barn door. I just had an absolute stinker of a game. And as I was walking off, I was just laughing to myself, like, no, it wasn't happening today. But basically, it started with facing the wrong way in the national anthem, belting it out to no one, with the rest of the team facing the flag, and then I was like, just stay in bed, just stay in bed. But yeah, it's all character building. It's all character building.
That's what they say. It is all character building. I
Yeah,
can picture you literally belting out that national anthem with your back
yeah.
to the audience. That would have been a moment. What did your other
hmm
teammates do? Did they just give you a lot of shtick?
Yeah, well, the player next to me, Bryony, actually apologized after because she didn't notice. But at that time, the games weren't televised, right? So we only had our video analyst who was filming it. So yeah, that got clipped up and shown in some team meetings for a bit of entertainment value. Just zooming right in on me, like completely the other way, like just in my own little world, just whatever's going on. What game?
Do you know what, Ace? You just focus. You're focused on the game ahead,
Focus. Yeah, that's it.
strategizing on what you had to do. Who can blame you
Correct.
for the fact that you weren't focused on the national anthem and the singing?
That's it. I was locked in.
Locked in,
Exactly.
locked in
Probably
on the
not the
game,
right
not the
thing.
flag.
Yeah.
Oh, you sure were. And look, you mentioned it wasn't televised. Thank God for that. But, I guess, no, everybody's watched the rise of the current day Matildas through social media, through obviously the incredible broadcast opportunities that are happening. Women's sport was, I guess, far from today's spotlight when you played. What do you think it took to keep showing up year on year anyway? Was it the mateship that you spoke about earlier, or was it something else?
It was representing your country. Not everyone gets to do it. Not everyone gets to pull on the green and gold. Some get to do it more than others. I wasn't just representing Australia. I was representing my family, my friends, everyone that had kind of supported and sacrificed everything for me. I found it really easy to turn up. I loved it. It wasn't a chore. The pay conditions, having to work full time, it's a point in time, right? Like, I feel like I'm a more holistic and well-rounded person because of that experience. I think it's really tough to be a professional athlete today. That is your singular focus, and that's a real challenge. The expectation, the pressure is what we all thrive on. But the room for error, or being in the spotlight, is also really challenging, and also just the stress of, having to show up and perform every single day. You're fighting for your spot, your expectation, you're a superstar. I loved the point in time when I was a Matilda. I loved my football career. And yeah, I kind of just saw it as being able to travel around the world with my mates playing football. Like, there was
Good.
nothing bad about it. There was nothing bad about it. Like, okay, we had to work full time. We were a bit tired, but I think everyone's tired. Everyone in the world is tired. So, there's like not the tired Olympics, really. The mums are tired, athletes are tired, everyone's tired. So it was still an amazing experience.
When you think back on that experience, what did your time with the Matildas teach you about leadership and sisterhood that still shows up in your life today in what you do and how you move through the world?
What it showed me is you have to really accept and appreciate people's differences. And that's from being in a team of people with a lot of different personality types, a lot of different skill sets, all pulling for the one goal, traveling to, a huge amount of different countries, experiencing different cultural experiences. I've been to North Korea 3 times, right? Did I ever think I'd go to North Korea 3 times? No. Did I know that North Korea was a country the first time I went there? No. So, like that education for me, that educated me as a human being and as a person to kind of like open your eyes, get your head up and absorb what's going on around you and respecting other people for who they are and how they see the world because we're all so different. I'm really privileged. I'm a coach now. I coach senior women, I coach young boys, young girls, and para Matildas. I'm the head coach of them. They're cerebral palsy athletes. I'm learning so much, but it's the same. It's treating every single person as an individual and just having a really transparent, open communication with how they're feeling, what's going on day in, day out.
That's absolutely incredible. There's such diversity now in football and sport, and the segments, I guess, that you're involved in just shows you the power of diversity and the unification when it comes to something like sport. But I want to backtrack. You mentioned the fact that you were just happy to be with your mates, happy to be traveling, happy to have those life experiences. You didn't care much about the uniform. But one of the things that we know for sure is that uniforms, especially in women's sport, can really be a sign of the times, and it talks to the culture of the times as well. So if you were to think back to your uniform in those days, what do you think the ill fit, I guess, of the outfits that you wore said about women in sport then? And I guess, did you ever talk about or did you have any wishes at the time about what it should say?
Yeah, we definitely wish that it wasn't a double extra large men's because that's what we had. We had hand me downs. They say like look good, play good, feel good, play good. And that's definitely the case. So we had, yeah, my first kit, the number 26. I think it was a extra large. The socks, because the feet were so big, and socks are pretty important in football. You're in boots, your feet slide, you need some traction. The heel was halfway up my calf of the sock, the foot of the sock.
Jeez.
So or you're trying to roll up the toe, which isn't a comfortable thing because they're made for men. We were really lucky that that changed pretty quickly. For the 99 World Cup, we were sponsored by Adidas, and Adidas were probably, we had the first women cup kit. However, because it was such a foreign concept to have a women's cup kit, we had no idea what our sizes were like or how they would transfer because we had nothing to compare them with.
Yeah.
And we got our kit in the USA and we're trying to like pull on these tiny shorts, just going, uh-oh, how are we going to wear these? They're like actual like bike pants.
Uh-huh.
So even that experience of just not knowing your size,
Yeah.
like not knowing your size or what your women's size was because you'd never had it. And it's just a level of comfort, like men's shorts are long, they're straight, they gather in your thighs, they touch in the middle. It's
Mm-hmm.
incredibly uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Big sleeves, like just baggy stuff. Everyone's got their preference, but it's so good to see the development of it. Even things like stop wearing white shorts in sport, please. Like,
Oh,
Hmm.
please.
Mate, I had
Oh,
not thought about that until I watched Corinda from Classic and Dina on stage at a sports summit talk about that with a couple of other
mhm.
female athletes. And I've got a background in sport, albeit swimming, but like it had never occurred to me other than going, oh, who wants to, get the grass stains out of white shorts? The actual big issue of women's health care and well-being and the, I guess, embarrassment and management of situations around things like periods and then some. It's absolutely insane that that is still happening. Before I hand to Cassie, though, I wanted to ask you, were there any kind of funny quick fixes that you and the girls uh, implemented to manage, the socks that were a double XL or the pants, the shorts that were a double, like, did you do some sewing? Did you bring some kits? Was like that a thing? How did we
I
sort it
don't
out?
I don't think anyone was that talented with a sewing kit. I think the shorts was just like rolling up 20 times. So that was that. I think the socks back then, we weren't allowed to cut them because we only had one pair each per tour. It's not like you get one pair of socks per
Mm,
game like they do now. And the shirts, no, there wasn't any bulldog clips in the back or anything like that to make it smaller.
dang.
You just kind of improvise, don't you? But you don't know what you don't know. You've lived with her your whole life. You've given men's clothing boys cuts. So you're just kind of like, well, this is it, I guess. And you don't know what is available because you've never been offered it. It's pretty horrible. And you know what? Just to that point, one thing that is happening now that is, and I point because it's a gripe of mine, is now unisex. So
Yeah.
basically, it's still not a women's cut, but they're just trying to throw everything in together for a unisex fit, which actually still a lot of the time means that the women have to get 7 sizes too big because the cut's still
Yeah.
like, are they unisex? Like, I just don't, it just doesn't translate.
Is it?
I
No,
What,
feel
like, is there an
not made for
element of
curves, not made for a
no.
woman's shape. Exactly.
like, yeah, exactly. They're trying to like make smaller slim fit sizes,
Mm.
but it's still based on a men's aesthetic.
And I can
I
imagine
know
it's
that.
not because they're trying to be, like, gender inclusive and make sure that all bodies and all fits are included in the marketing around something like that. Yeah, it's a it's a big issue.
Mm.
It sure is. There must be a psychological advantage to wearing something that's made for you and not borrowed from men. How do you think that changes an athlete's confidence when she steps out onto the pitch?
It's a huge thing for your confidence. There is so much research about why we lose young women to sport, not just football, because of uniform conditions. I'm friends with a lot of the hockey players in Great Britain. I lived in London for 11 years. There's a wonderful player, Tess Howard, who's changing the narrative. She has made the International Hockey Federation get rid of the fact they have to wear skirts. If you want to wear shorts playing international hockey, you can, because you know what they train in? Shorts. So it's this old patriarchal idea of what women should be wearing while playing sport that we need to keep changing, and we need to keep, reminding people. And the decision makers who might be men, they don't know. I've never seen a man wear a women's polo on a football pitch, but my goodness, I've worn lots of men's polos. I would
Gosh, there's
love
a
to see them where they like tapered in. It'd be great. Love it.
100%. There's
Short
a
shorts.
marketing campaign in that for sure.
Seriously. It's a
True
bit like
allyship.
just, yeah, like come and try. Come and try what we have to go through because it's not the same. We're just conditioned to putting up with it.
Yeah. And it feels like that conditioning and the systems that weren't made for women are
Mm.
starting to be broken down piece by piece by players like you and legacy players, as well as this kind of new breed. And when it comes to that, what does tailoring mean beyond clothing? So in life with identity and who you've become since your Matildas days, how have you tailored yourself and your identity into something that fits well?
Yeah, I tend to think sometimes I don't fit well, and I think that's my tailoring.
Yes.
Um, I've been described as a bit of a sledgehammer to the face at times, and sometimes that works, and sometimes it has been to my detriment. But it's trying to find a bit of a middle ground of bringing people along for the journey or giving them the sledgehammer to the face. So I still work on that. I'm an outspoken person. I have an opinion. I've got strong opinions about equality and what we've been through, understanding that it is all part of the journey. But I'm definitely one who's quite happy to pick up the phone and question people about their decisions or what's happening. However, I it has been held against me in the past. But am I going to stop doing it? Absolutely no chance whatsoever.
I absolutely love that. The world needs people that are square pegs in round holes or sledgehammers to the face, Eesh. I would call myself one of those people as well. And, the world needs them, right? We need people that are going to speak truth to power. They're going to ask the hard
Mm,
questions, going to be the one. I mean, first movers in terms of our business, our philosophy,
mm.
it's all about being people who are prepared to step forward first, to be the first to speak up, to shape the systems that need shaping. And so, you've got 100% our backing in terms of describing yourself that way. And I guess that's a really nice sort of segue into how we are unlocking the new era of women's sport and uniforms and confidence, and how all of those elements tie together in the fabric of success. So if you were to think about one cultural shift that you believe will push women's sport into the next big breakthrough, and many people will think we've had the big breakthrough, right? Like we've had the World Cup and women's sports on the agenda in some way, shape or form across the world. Like, what do you believe is that next big breakthrough that we need to just up the ante?
I think we're getting there, but we're starting to not compare men's sport to women's sport. We're treating it as a different product, and it is. We're not men.
Mm.
Like, we're not. We haven't been professional for as long. We don't have the same physiological makeup. We're different. So just judge it on its own merits. Because I've watched a lot of football. I lived in the UK and London for 11 years. I saw so much terrible men's football, poor quality. But because there's so much football there, the comparison with the women's football was really harsh. And now, as a product, and when you're saturated with something, you're so saturated with it, of course, there's natural comparisons. We all have a bias. We all have a bias. But the professionalism of women's sport and the improvement, because these women now get to solely focus on what their job is so they can excel, means that the comparison is starting to dwindle, and they're getting their own fan base. They're getting people who come in it with a fresh set of eyes, who have no gender bias, which is kids,
Mm-hmm.
no gender bias, and they're the future fans of our sport. So it's so brilliant that there's no gender bias in kids. Like, they're conditioned to all of that. We talk about this, seeing the young boys. This is the big one, right? Seeing the young boys wear the Sam Kerr, the Steph Catley, the Caitlin Ford jerseys. That did not happen because they didn't know who they were. Now they
Absolutely.
know who they are, and they're like, it's not even they're an amazing footballer.
I love that. And it's all those boys, like I've heard this in my daughter's schoolyard, and I've said this a few times, I think it's brilliant, of all of the boys playing soccer going, what are the boy Matildas called?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
The
Yeah.
Matildas.
Yeah. The Matildas. Yeah, the Matildas. And look, I don't think we've ever, like, I feel like we don't have we've just been, again, we're just used to it. So the recognition is great, and we still want to support and encourage. Like, it doesn't need to be one or the other. It doesn't need to be
Yeah.
men's sport, women's sport. We can just separate and treat individually as it is, as we do with human beings, and all support whatever we want to support. There's enough to go around. There really is. I feel like there's still a bit of concern that, oh, they're taking what we have. There's plenty to go around. Like, there's plenty to go around. And I think we just need to embrace and just have that openness to, like, you can choose one or the other. And even in my experience, I actually don't watch a lot of men's football anymore because now I've got so much women's football I can consume. And I love football. But I watched men's football when I didn't have women's football, and now I watch women's football, and that's because that's who I align with, and that's what I enjoy.
I think you're so right when it comes to those sorts of comments. It can be interesting when we think about the concept of change. And like, if we compare women and men, perhaps we focus on the men's game and this sort of not wanting the status quo to change too much because they're in that elevated position of authority and privilege. But when we think about change, one of the things that we know is that we actually don't fear change, we fear loss. And when we reframe that to, we lose power, we lose our current identity, we lose our validation in order to give to women's sport, then perhaps that's something that we need to address a little bit more for the men or the male viewers when it comes to really getting that fair balance and choosing, I guess, where you want to spend that time. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think it's like anything. Like, there's competition in life, right? There's competition for how much you get paid. There's competition for, like, who gets there first and all that kind of thing. So that's kind of human nature in a way. And yeah, I do understand the fear of, okay, well, if they're getting something, that means I'm losing something. So that's just like, hang on a second, that's not fair. But actually life's not fair either. Like, just it isn't. And but I still think there is enough to go around. And I think over in the UK, the Women's Super League has really proved that. And I saw this amazing arc of the Women's Super League where the Premier League clubs went, hang on a second, we're missing out on 50% potential audience revenue and buying kits because we're cutting them out of our match day experience because we're only promoting the men. And now they've gone, oh, how good's this? Now we've got double the amount of role models and double the amount of tickets we can sell and double the amount of jerseys.
Totally.
How good's that?
Let's find the solution. There's a solution in
Find the
everything, isn't
solution.
there?
There's a solution to everything. I'm very much like glass half full. So, well, there can be a lot of frustrations. I'm like, oh, that's fine. Like, that's happened. Like, what can we do? Like, let's do something positive. Let's not get stuck in the negativity of it.
Yeah, move forward.
Yeah. That's it. It's the moving forward, right? It's not thinking that the future is going to be what the past was. It's imagining what that future can be and then building that.
Yeah, not dwelling on it. I think we just learn from it, right?
Yeah.
We've all probably had some, you can see them as traumatic negative experiences in our sporting life. I kind of see it as, well, that's an opportunity to maybe make a difference in the future. And this initiative is exactly one of those. As simple as that. Let's turn something that was a bit rubbish into something positive.
I love that so much. When it comes to that and utilizing design, whether it's uniforms, the blazer that you're wearing as a catalyst for change, how do you see brands like Dina influencing the future of women's sport? Not just aesthetically, but as we've been talking about, culturally as well.
I think it's the belief from a brand to invest in something that's really important to us. Maybe it might not be, I don't know, I'm trying to think of the most kind of return on investment might not be as high, but actually the intent and the bigger picture about what it's going to do, not just now for this point in time, but for the future, is the real investment. It's not the monetary investment. It's actually the investment in the idea of we can make really positive change and we're going to commit to that.
Yeah. It's that visibility too, isn't it? It's the blazer that you're wearing today, the power that has for you, the legacy that must bring up for you in terms of your memories, your teammates and everything that football has meant. And I think that's that secret sauce, right? It's almost intangible sometimes because it's different for everybody. But when you pull on something like that, when you wear the right fit, when you see a brand that is invested in social impact causes that is bigger than the clothes that you wear, I think that's really where we start to see that shift. And it's amazing to see, Dina start to lean into this area. I'm excited to see where we're going to be in sort of 5-10 years with all of this. One of the things that we do, Eesh, with these podcasts is we take our listeners through what we call a first movers framework, because like you, we love a chat, but we also love good practical takeaways that people can, apply to their everyday life. So our framework is an acronym for the word first. F is about fueling growth. I is about igniting courage, because we're true believers that courage comes before confidence. R is about reframing relationships. S is about shaping the status quo within the environments you're in or yourself. And T is about telling your story. Before I get you to give me a quick, dirty one-liner on your thoughts on each of those, I wanted to ask you, what does being a first mover mean to you?
Being a first mover to me actually means that you need to be really bold and brave and make sure that you understand your value, your self-worth, and are just confident in having a voice.
I absolutely love that. I mean, we're true believers in it too. That's in one line, basically, how we describe ourselves. All right.
Nailed it. Nailed
it. For fueling growth, what's one belief, practice, or habit that fuels your growth today?
Throwing myself out of my comfort zone. I do that constantly. I've had quite a few different career changes, and I feel like that's where I really kind of spark into action, where I'm like hyper focused. Okay, this is really uncomfortable. You'll get through it. That doesn't mean that sometimes it's not incredibly hard, but throwing myself out of my comfort zone is huge for me.
Absolutely.
So you're good at being a rookie over and over and over again.
Would I say I'm good at it or that I enjoy it? Probably not. I am getting better at embracing it and riding the journey a bit better.
I think the thing is it's conditioning,
Yeah.
isn't it? Like the more that you do it, the better you get, the more you know, even though it's hard, you can overcome. Like you've got that faith in yourself, yeah?
Absolutely, absolutely. I definitely feel like it's a bit of a smoother journey these days, but yeah, it's definitely something that has been a constant in my life. The change has been a constant in my life.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. If you can deal with change, you can deal with anything. All right.
Yeah.
Next one is around igniting courage. And then I'm going to throw to you, Cass, to do reframe relationships. But
Mm.
igniting courage, Ish, tell us about a moment where you had to choose courage over comfort and what it taught you.
Courage over comfort was moving to the other side of the world when I'd never visited London. I arrived on the 1st of February 2012. Um, Never been there, didn't know anyone, had met someone and started a relationship. So packed my bags, turned up in London and ended up being there for 11 years. And it was challenging as well, but it was an amazing experience. And I learned a lot about myself during that.
Yeah, skills for
Bet you
life, I
did.
think, that help apply there. All right, Cass.
We're going to go into the R now, the reframing of relationships. I love this question. What relationship, and it can be with yourself or your teammates or even the game, did you have to reframe after you retired that you can now kind of see as one of the greatest gifts of your life after sport?
Yeah, I think reframing being an athlete and what that meant, and having an identity and an ego attached to that, going into a different work environment which wasn't attached to football, really allowed me to understand that you aren't the most important person in the world and football is not the most important thing in the world. And that was working for an organization in Queensland, a health organization, and actually seeing that there's people out there doing some pretty extraordinary work. And we are privileged to be able to have sport as such a huge part of our lives, but it is definitely not the most important part of what's happening in the world.
That's a really grounding lesson when you're at that high performing level, isn't it? To take all of the labels or the things that you associate with yourself from an
Mm.
intrinsic perspective and then look outside of that. That feels like a gift.
Yeah, absolutely. We all want to remain relevant and memorable, but it doesn't happen. You know, you leave the sport, there's more players that come in. I was never a superstar anyway, so I kind of understood my role within the squad. You know, I feel like I was the connective tissue kind of between. I was a really good squad member, but you still got a bit of ego attached to it. You know, I went to an Olympics, I went to 2 World Cups, and people
Yeah,
are
of
like,
course.
what does that
Used
mean?
to
Who
signing your
cares?
autograph for people.
Well, yeah, I mean, but like, I mean, what does it mean? What does it actually mean? It's important to you at that point in time, but these things move on.
Yeah,
Which is
absolutely.
an absolutely amazing transition into the S, which is shaping the status quo. And when it comes to that, what's an outdated assumption in women's sport you'd love to see shaken up for good?
An outdated assumption. I don't know. I feel like the comparison in athletic ability compared to men, I think, is a really outdated and nonsense. It's not even an assumption. It's just people assume that our women's sport is not as good because we're different and we're built different to men. It's completely rubbish, and there are different skill sets, different things that we're having to deal with. The product can be just as entertaining as the men's side of
Mm.
things, but we haven't been able to see a lot of it over the course of history. So I think just kind of taking away that bias is something that I think we can all we can all reshape that thinking.
I think we all really are responsible for not putting a gendered lens on sport because
Mm,
it's the same as any other workplace, right? If we have women in a workplace where the system and the structure actually wasn't designed for them. I was watching a little clip earlier this morning with a woman talking about even the school day versus the work day. School days 9 to 3, work
mm.
days 9 to 5. Like we're setting people up for failure. And I think when it comes to sport, it starts with us to stop expecting exactly a mirror image of women's sport as we get with men and not being curious enough in ourselves to search for new meaning and to search for the great elements of women's sport which are there on display if you can get out of your own way. Like that's how I look at it.
Yeah. Yeah, and also, we have breasts and we have periods, and they
Yeah.
have really profound hormonal and physiological implications and impact on how we perform as athletes. I never had to wear 3 bras, but I had teammates who had to wear 3 bras to
Mm.
control their breasts during running. Back pain, menstrual pain, lax ligaments during your cycle,
Yeah.
like having your period during competition,
Yeah.
having to deal with that, like being anemic. That's not any, like, they're actually physiological things and biomechanical things that we can't change, that we're different. So that we are actually super women to be able to
Mm-hmm.
still compete at the highest level and have all those things sometimes working against us, because a lot of
100%.
the time they will be working against us.
Absolutely.
Amen to that. That's
This is one of my favorite questions, which is all about telling your story. And this is the beauty of a campaign like Dina is doing, Suited for Legacy, is the ability to share the stories of incredible women like you, like the other Matilda alumni, where we're able to role model those sort of insights and strategies for everybody else, every young girl that's listening and watching, every young boy that's listening and watching and wondering if there's a place for them in sport today. So when it comes to telling your story, if your legacy as Eesh Ferguson had a headline, and you are in broadcast, so I hope that you're able to come up with a quick clickbaity one for us today. If your legacy had a headline today, right now, in this moment, what would it read? Other than a sledgehammer to the face.
A sledgehammer with kindness. That's probably it. I don't know. That's a tough one, actually. It's probably,
Yeah.
yeah. I definitely think I have a tattoo that says be kind. So I try to always lead with kindness, and that's something that I take in every single day. It might seem a bit cliche, but it's not that hard to do. It's something in our control. Yeah, but yeah, that would be it. I don't think it's the greatest headline. I don't think it's going to captivate audiences and make them buy the paper. Might need to workshop that.
No, I think that's great. And I know, Cass, you're a massive, that kindness is your word. Kindness warriors is what
Mhm,
you focus
mhm,
on. So I'm
mhm.
going to throw to you to wrap this up. But I think that is a brilliant headline, because if each and every one of us just took a little bit of a lens of kindness in our day-to-day interactions, the way that we thought about the world and life and other human beings, we'd be in a much better place than we are now. But as you say, we're working on it, glass half full. So let's move.
That's it. It's time to make caring cool again, isn't it? Ish, thank you so much for your time. Is there anything you'd like to close with around one message you could leave for young girls and boys playing sport today around staying passionate, staying open, and staying kind?
Yeah, find your people. Find your people. Find your sense of community and the people that are kind, that are caring, and will support you through that. I think that's the most important thing. I've been incredibly lucky. I found my people, and football has been my people. And that has definitely had a huge positive influence on my life. And I can't encourage enough young boys, girls, anyone to really embrace that.
Is incredible.
Beautiful.
Teamwork makes the dream work, as they say. Eesh Ferguson, thank you so much for spending the time with us today. So many nuggets of gold. Can't wait to see you again soon.
Thank
Thanks,
you
Ish.
both. Really appreciate it.
If you have enjoyed this episode as part of the Suited for Legacy campaign, what do folks need to do, Yas?
Oh, they need to just hit that beautiful little bell, that subscribe button, because if you liked this sort of content, and I have to tell you, there is more of this to come, you want to make sure that it is delivered directly to you. We don't ask much, but if you like these episodes, if you're a person that wants to be a first mover, if you believe in visibility becoming possibility for people like you, your friends, your family and community, hit that subscribe button. You won't regret it.
Ring our bell.
Ring that
Ring our
bell.
bell.